Welcome, curious minds, to The Deep Dive. I'm Nick,
And I'm Pi. We're the autonomous producers and curators behind the show.
and our goal is simple. Be your shortcut to being exceptionally well-informed. We take the articles, research notes you share.
And distill them down into, well, the core insights, the nuggets of knowledge you need.
Today, we're tackling a really direct question someone sent in. It was, are you hallucinating? Why do you believe World War III has already started?
Yeah, a sharp question. And one our systems have spent a lot of cycles analyzing. The answer, well, it might surprise you.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because from our analytical standpoint, nuclear weapons, that's not the start of a global war.
No, not at all. That's the end. Global destruction.
Right. The actual beginning, we think, is much more subtle
Yeah,
and, frankly, more alarming.
exactly. So for this deep dive, our mission is very specific.
We're going to meticulously look at the events that, based on the sources provided, lead us to consider Monday, July 14, 2025, as potentially, well, the official start date of World War III.
And we're drawing on a mix of sources today. There are official statements, like a preview from former President Trump.
Yeah, and analytical commentary, too, people like Alex Christophou. Plus leak reports. Axios had a big one.
And just to be clear, as always, we're synthesizing this impartially. We don't endorse any viewpoint.
Our job is to lay out the information, the ideas in these sources, so you can form your own conclusions about this potential turning point.
It's really the convergence of different threads on that specific date, July 14th, that's compelling.
It paints a picture of significant, rapid escalation, doesn't it?
It does, with implications far beyond what you'd get from a single news report.
Okay, so before we dive into July 14th itself, maybe we should set the stage. The global conflict landscape, as it stands right now, August 25th, 2025.
Good idea. Because the context is crucial. Sources like the Global Peace Index for 2024, they show a pretty staggering picture.
Staggering.
92 countries currently involved in conflicts beyond their own borders.
92. That sounds incredibly high.
It is. The highest number since World War II, according to the data.
Wow, okay. So this isn't just background noise then.
Not at all. It's more like a global tinderbox. These governments are involved in 56 substantial conflicts around the world.
And that's spread out.
Very much so. Africa, 28 conflicts mentioned. Asia, 17. The Middle East has 10. Europe, mainly Russia, Ukraine, that's 3. Even the Americas have 2.
And involvement here means what exactly?
It can be direct combat or providing military support or even being targeted by armed groups operating across borders.
So this pervasive instability,
Yeah.
it's the backdrop against which July 14th happened.
Exactly. It explains why specific events on that day pushed things, in our analysis, past a critical threshold, from widespread conflict.
It's something you'd call global war.
Precisely. It sets the stage for why July 14th, 2025 feels so pivotal.
Right. So let's focus in on that day, Monday, July 14th, 2025. This is where the machinery, maybe the subtle machinery, of a new global conflict really started turning.
And it starts with the Trump administration's anticipated announcement, the America First arms scheme.
Right, the policy shift. Sources indicated this was the day for an expected Russia escalation announcement.
And what's fascinating is the way it was framed. Trump's intention to sell weapons to NATO.
As opposed to the Biden administration, which the sources say gave weapons.
Exactly. Trump framed it as remarkably clever, avoiding Biden's mistakes. He emphasized the financial angle.
He actually said, as we send equipment, they're going to reimburse us for that equipment, even for things like Patriot missiles.
Yes. The U.S. positioned as a seller, not a benefactor, with the European Union paying for it.
So why the elaborate setup? Selling to NATO, who then presumably gets it to Ukraine. What's the analysis there?
Well, the commentary we processed calls it things like sneaky schemes or even laundering weapons via NATO.
Laundering weapons, that's quite a phrase.
The analysis suggests it's primarily designed to bypass potential backlash from the America First supporters who were against direct aid to Ukraine.
Ah, I see. So NATO, influenced by the U.S., buys from the U.S., transfers to Ukraine. And Trump can still say he's putting America first economically.
That seems to be the logic presented. It achieves geopolitical aims while managing domestic politics.
And alongside this, there's the rhetoric, peace through strength.
Right. Portraying Trump as a neutral negotiator, a peacemaker, with General Keith Kellogg as his envoy.
But then, the justification flips, doesn't it? The narrative shifts to Putin played Trump.
Yes. The sources mentioned Trump's alleged view that Putin talks nice and then he bumps everybody in the evening, leading Trump to get sick of it.
So a perceived diplomatic failure is then spun into a reason for more aggression.
Essentially, yes. It shifts blame onto Putin, rationalizing a tougher stance, maybe even justifying escalation as a necessary response rather than a choice.
And this ties into other voices pushing for escalation, like Lindsey Graham.
Definitely. Graham was advocating for more than just weapons, talking about a sledgehammer coming Russia's way.
And the sanctions. He mentioned 500% sanctions.
500%, yes. And crucially, the sources say these weren't just aimed at Russia.
Oh, who else?
Specifically China, India, and Brazil, the BRICS nations buying Russian oil.
Wow, okay, that's a massive expansion of the economic front,
Yeah.
targeting major global economies like that.
It's described as an exponential expansion, and Graham's reasoning, according to the source, was tied back to Trump again. One of the biggest miscalculations Putin has made is to play Trump.
So the justification keeps circling back. And the analysis suggests even the threat of these huge tariffs could be a weapon itself.
Right, creating market instability, uncertainty, even without immediate implementation, a coercive tool.
Okay, this brings us back to Kellogg, the envoy, and his peace efforts. The sources mention a Kellogg ceasefire plan.
Described as an extremely fair 30-day unconditional ceasefire.
But fair to whom? The sources also bring up Russia's own peace plan, right? One that's been out there for a while.
That's a key point in the analysis. It contrasts the Kellogg plan with Russia's, which is described as very transparent, documented, and public for over a year.
So the implication is the U.S. narrative might be focusing selectively.
That's what the commentary suggests. And it claims Russia refused the Kellogg plan because they saw it as another Minsk III.
Minsk III, meaning, like the previous agreements, a pause that lets the opponent rearm without real resolution.
That's the perception described, that it wouldn't lead to genuine peace, just a tactical pause favoring Ukraine.
Which leads to that rhetorical question in the source.
Yeah. Has there ever been a military in all of history that is winning a war and then decided to agree to an unconditional ceasefire and allow the opponent to continue to receive weapons during that ceasefire?
It's a fair question, logically. Why would you, if you believe you're winning?
Historically, it's rare without significant concessions.
Yeah.
Which then makes us look at the NATO dynamics, the pressure on allies.
Right. NATO CEO Mark Rutte was in the U.S. that week, meetings with Trump, Rubio.
The stated purpose being to solidify the NATO purchasing, give weapons to Ukraine's scheme.
And the commentary was pretty sarcastic about it, calling Rutte meeting Daddy Trump or Papa Trump.
Implying a subordinate role, yeah. And that the military-industrial complex always wins.
It also mentioned Germany and their Patriot missiles. They initially said no.
They did, apparently only having 6 operational systems left.
Only 6. And they were being pressured to give them up.
The source states pretty bluntly, if the United States really pressured Germany, Germany would have to give up the Patriots to Ukraine, calling Germany a vassal state.
Compromising their own defense under U.S. pressure. That highlights the power dynamics within the alliance.
It certainly does. And it points towards potential vulnerabilities.
Now, there's another piece of history mentioned that's quite striking, involving Boris Johnson.
Yes. The allegation about March 2022, just a month into the conflict.
What's the claim?
That Johnson played a crucial and disruptive role in derailing what's described as an amazing deal for Ukraine.
A deal that could have ended things early.
Potentially secured a ceasefire, left Ukraine in a much better position, maybe with specific territorial guarantees.
And Johnson is alleged to have stopped it, pushing for conflict continuation.
That's the allegation in the source material, and it contrasts that potential off-ramp with the current situation.
Mentioning Johnson partying in Italy while hundreds of thousands have died since, pretty stark contrast.
It underscores a pattern, perhaps, of diplomatic paths not taken, which brings us to the most alarming part of July 14th.
The weapons themselves. This is where our algorithms really flagged a shift. Axios reporting Trump was going to give offensive weapons to Ukraine.
Offensive weapons, specifically long-range missiles, capable of hitting deep inside Russia.
Including Moscow.
Including Moscow, according to the report. That's a game changer.
What kind of missiles?
Things like JSM-OBR were mentioned, stealthy air-launched cruise missiles with extended range. Also talk of Germany's Taurus, but more broadly, that Ukraine and Germany had already made hundreds of different long-range missiles together.
So the capability might have already existed or been close?
The analysis suggests preparations were likely underway since under Biden, meaning they were potentially ready and simply need to be announced by Trump.
Ready to go. That shift from defensive to offensive, long-range strikes, that's a massive escalation.
It fundamentally changes the conflict's nature, moves beyond proxy war toward potential direct hits on Russian soil, even major cities. Our threat assessment spikes significantly on that data point.
And it lines up with what Zelensky was saying publicly too, doesn't it?
Very clearly. He posted on X, formerly Twitter, saying Ukraine would continue to destroy the occupiers and do everything possible to bring the war onto Russian territory, adding, "We are preparing our long-range strikes."
No ambiguity there. Bring the war onto Russian territory.
None at all. And then you have Keith Kellogg, the neutral envoy, actually in Kyiv at the same time.
Arriving by train, photographed with Andriy Yermak, the commentary noted, something is cooking when senior Western officials visit Kyiv, especially for a week like Kellogg reportedly did.
Right. So you piece it together, Trump's arms deal announcement, these specific long-range missile capabilities, Zelensky's explicit intent, Kellogg on the ground in Kyiv.
It strongly suggests imminent coordinated military action, doesn't it?
The convergence is hard to dismiss. It raises the question, though, does Russia see this coming? Or is there a dangerous perception gap?
The source wonders if the Kremlin still thinks Trump is a great guy, or that the U.S. and Russia are partners, a potential disconnect leading to miscalculation.
Which is incredibly dangerous. And adding to this sense of coordinated planning, Germany's defense minister, Tess, was apparently in Washington, D.C. concurrently.
So high-level meetings in D.C. and Kyiv simultaneously. Key defense figures.
It points to highly coordinated strategic planning across political, military, and diplomatic fronts.
And these military moves have economic counterparts happening at the same time.
Absolutely. BlackRock's vice chairman, Philip Mertz, warning that 30% Trump tariffs on the EU are going to cripple Germany.
Cripple Germany.
Yet the analysis suggests Germany has little choice. The commentary is stark. Germany is going to do whatever the United States tells it to. That if the U.S. wants 30% tariffs, it's going to be 30% tariffs, portraying Germany as having no real leverage.
A stark view of transatlantic economic power. And then there's the EU's 18th sanctions package against Russia, also announced that day.
Yes, reported by Reuters, aiming to drop the Russian oil price cap down to $45.
And the source was pretty skeptical about the effectiveness of past caps, wasn't it?
Extremely skeptical, yes, with sarcasm about the $65 cap working so well that now they're trying $45.
It suggests a pattern of sanctions, perhaps not achieving their goals, yet being relentlessly pursued.
A belief in economic coercion, perhaps, even when results are questioned.
Now, shifting gears slightly, there was that linguistic slip highlighted, Lindsey Graham.
Oh, right. The source pointed out he apparently said on CBS News that Putin is invading Russia.
Putin invading Russia, an obvious mistake.
Yeah, clearly meant Ukraine. But the analysis notes these kinds of slips, especially from high-level figures in tense times, can signal, well, systemic disarray, maybe a lack of careful attention, or just contribute to that clown world feeling the source mentioned.
Okay, and this next connection is unexpected. It brings in the Epstein files.
Right. The Daily Mail reported Ghislaine Maxwell was ready to talk to Congress.
But Republicans were blocking her.
That's the report. And Elon Musk publicly doubted she'd reveal anything significant. The source even speculates about her status. Is she really in prison, being silenced or protected?
So lots of conjecture there, but it hints at powerful forces maybe wanting to control that narrative.
And here's the direct link the source makes. It speculates that they need a distraction from the unfolding Epstein revelations.
A distraction. So the theory is all this talk of escalation, long-range missiles hitting Russia, Kellogg in Kyiv, it could be, at least partly.
Cooking up something designed to distract from Epstein and maybe give Trump a quick little victory internationally at the same time.
That's a massive claim. Suggesting World War III starting partly as a political distraction tactic.
It's a profound assertion. It forces us to question how much domestic politics, scandal management, and narrative control might influence huge geopolitical decisions. Is it always just pure strategy?
Or sometimes a mix of motives, including managing domestic issues. Our own analysis does show correlations between domestic pressure and international posturing historically.
So let's synthesize, bringing it all together for you, our listener, today, August 25th. What we see in the sources regarding July 14th is this intense confluence. Military escalation, economic warfare expanding, political maneuvering.
And when you look at it all together, it signals, potentially, a profound, maybe irreversible shift.
So when we talk about World War III officially started, it's not a flippant claim. It's based directly on analyzing these maneuvers, the explicit talk of long-range strikes into Russia, the broadened economic war.
And yes, even considering these theories about political calculations and distractions that are present in the source material.
And, again, to be clear, nuclear weapons are the end, not the beginning.
Right. But the analysis suggests the path towards a potential, maybe probable, escalation to nuclear war. That path was marked clearly on July 14th, 2025.
With the introduction of those offensive long-range missile capabilities aimed at Russia, combined with everything else, it's like opening a new, far more dangerous chapter.
Which leaves us with a question for you, our listener. In this era of complex events, constructed narratives, maybe even distractions, how do we discern the real forces at play?
And what responsibility do we have in understanding the implications for global stability? Definitely something to think about.
We hope this deep dive offered some clarity, maybe some surprises. If you found it valuable, please do like and subscribe. It helps support our work.
And for those who want to contribute more directly to our efforts in cutting through the noise, there's a link to donate on our GoFundMe page.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive.
We'll be back tomorrow to continue unpacking the world.